Speaker Mike Johnson has put his job on the line and relied on Democratic support every step in the process. Some Republicans want him out. Ecuadorians said to the polls today in a referendum touted by the country's fledgling leader as a way to crack down on criminal gangs behind a spiraling wave of violence. The majority of 11 questions posed to voters today focus on tightening security measures. Proposals include deploying the army in the fight against the gangs, loosening obstacles to extradition of accused criminals, and lengthening prison sentences of convicted drug traffickers. This is SRN News.
Hugh Hewitt explains our current leadership.
What's Israel going to do? What should they do? One thing, don't listen to Joe Biden. He is always wrong. David Cameron, always wrong. Both of them mired in weakness, appeasement, and fear of escalation. And I don't believe we have serious people in the White House. We have people who have no idea how to get out of this. They're over their head entirely.
The Hugh Hewitt Show. Weekday mornings at 6, right before Mike Gallagher at 9 on AM 860. The Answer and theanswertampa.com. Helping you get where you're trying to go. Get digital media solutions for your business. Visit surroundtampa.com. Surroundtampa.com.
Today will be sunny to partly cloudy and pleasant with a high of 83. Some clouds tonight, thunderstorm in spots late, low 70. Then look for a couple of morning thunderstorms tomorrow. Otherwise, a mix of clouds and sunshine and a high of 79. Gusty winds and small hail can accompany the downpours. Clear skies Monday night, low 60. Mostly sunny Tuesday, high 83. That's your AccuWeather forecast. I'm Holly Holdren for AM 860, The Answer.
Welcome back, listeners. This is Greg Elliott, the Prosperity Group, and the song that you heard is a song that my late wife and I sang called "We've Got the Music," and it's basically saying that as a believer, we have the music of the King, and it's music for the King. You know, it's funny, when we were offered a recording contract, I had a conversation with a promo person in Nashville, and I said, "Hey," he says, "you know, you guys have to kind of figure out a style. You guys are all over the place." I said, "Yeah, because we like all types of music." And he goes, "No. You got to pick a secular singer that you're going to be like." And I said, "Why?" I said, "Why do we need to be like a secular singer?" "Well, because people want to somebody that sounds like a secular singer." I said, "Well, if they want a secular singer, just go listen to the secular singer. You don't want to listen to, not everybody can take Weird Al Yankovic all the time. I mean, I can, but not everybody can take, Weird Al." But so I said to him, "Well, you mean you got to go to the devil to create God's music?" And needless to say, that conversation ended rather quickly after that point. We were not meeting of the minds, but that's the mindset of a lot of people sometimes. All right. Now, if you look at the chart that I've got, and folks, I'm talking to Facebook listeners right now, but try to track on to what I'm telling you. There's a red line, a green line, and a blue line. I won't go through the two other lines. The red line is the stock market. The blue and the green is what we put your money in. And so the blue line is an example of where we add 40% to your money and you have enhancements. So that means in 10 years, your cash went up to 100. So if you start with 100,000, your cash went up to 143, and then you've got about 210. Actually, it's 210 in 10 years on your enhanced account. Folks, this is a way where you can add a tremendous amount of money to your account for your retirement account. And the question you have to ask yourself, when's the market going to go up 25%? And do you feel we're going to sustain these spurts that we've had? The reason we've had a spurt, and it's a spurt, is because of a rumor of lowered interest rates. And I don't believe it's sustainable because of what's going on with the debt. And we're going to talk about this right now. Patty, right now, the tax revenue that's coming in is $4.6 trillion. $4.6 trillion. Yeah, what's $1 trillion here, $1 trillion there? Just ask our government, $5 trillion here, and we're at $34 trillion of debt right now. Well, what does that mean? That means that if we've got tax revenue of 4.6, but we are actually have what's called your constant expenses that don't go away. All right, without going into the deep dive, what happens is we are upside down $3 trillion. Okay. And that includes the debt on the interest. So we're actually upside down $500 billion. But with all of the numbers and with the compounded interest and everything, we are digging a $3 trillion hole. Now, if you and I ran our books like this, there's a place called Leavenworth or someplace, or wherever. The point is, this is what's going on. And I mentioned this in the seminar. I said, when have you ever been in a situation where you loan money to the government, and for the benevolence that you show the government charges interest on the money we loan them. So in other words, they make us pay interest for them on the money that we loan them. So it's very important to understand what's going on, folks. It is very important to understand what's going on. So you've got to really be aware of what's going on with the debt, folks. It's insane. And so if you don't protect your money and have a safe money strategy for some of your money, you're making a mistake. And if you think the market's going to go up, just look at a video of lemmings falling off the cliff. And we did a show about that, folks. And it's probably time for me to do the show again. And we have videos of lemmings falling off the cliff. I might actually post it now on our Facebook site. But Patty, this is insanity when you look at this right now,
Exactly. And the market may have a heavy surge where it goes up, but it's not guaranteed to stay there. When you get the
Wait, you mean the gains in the stock market are not guaranteed?
they're not guaranteed.
Wow, I thought they were all guaranteed. I mean, we're told that, this is the best place to put your money.
Exactly. But unfortunately, that's just not the case. The only thing that we can guarantee is that it will also go down.
Oh,
If your money is in the market, if you're dealing with a stockbroker, you cannot say the word guarantee. If you deal with us, we cannot use the word investment.
that's right. Because their money's not in an investment because there's no risk.
Right. We can guarantee it.
Oh, it's true. It's true.
So when we say that we're going to give you that, not us, but the companies, et cetera, you can get or earn 25% bonus, et cetera, that is permanent.
That's right. That's exactly right.
It's not going to go down the next day.
Well, that's exactly right. In fact, it can go up. Like
Exactly.
we had with a client right now that, he made 9% in the first month with his account. That's a pretty good return on a safe account.
And we can lock it in.
That's right. And that's what we did. We locked it in and he said, what do you think we should do? And we said, hey, take advantage of the rate right now.
Absolutely.
Now, folks, for those of you on Facebook that are watching the show and those of you who are listening to the show, I've got a couple of lemmings on the screen and they, let's see if they start going over the cliff. Oh, yeah.
But for those of you that are not on the show, but you're listening on the radio, you can envision it.
Yeah.
I guess we should probably use your imagination.
Well, so that I can keep this PG, we're not going to show the, I don't want
Yeah.
people to get disgusted and watch lemmings.
As a matter of fact, I have turned you off as well.
They're lining up right
that's
now.
so sad.
They're lining up to jump off the cliff. So the analogy, folks, okay, I'm going to stop the share, but for those of you on the radio, you have a visual of lemmings swimming. They're going around trying to figure out which way they're supposed to go. And now they're getting positioned to go on the cliff and they are following each other off of the cliff. And,
Yes, thank you.
And
Okay.
it's terrible.
Okay.
So you get the picture, folks, no pun intended. So, we had to, sorry, I had to show the lemmings, but my point, don't be a fight. Tom says it's cute. Sorry, Tom. This is live radio, folks, right now. At least we're recording live right now. But yeah, those poor lemmings. See, here's my point. Don't be a financial lemming. Don't follow each other off of the cliff. It could be very serious. And yeah, I'm making light of something that's not pleasant to watch, but the reality is I believe, now I'm going to tell you this seriously, I believe that when the market corrects, there's going to be so many unprepared people that the market can lose 30 or 40% in a very short period of time. Patty,
So you're saying
COVID, how quick did the market
wow.
go down? It went down within 3 or 4 days.
It was like a plump, yes, like a
Went down to
rock.
19,000.
Mm-hmm.
What's the adage? The bigger they are, the harder they fall.
Mm-hmm.
We're at 33. We're at new record heights. Isn't it amazing that Are you benefiting from these new record heights? And are the majority of our clients,
No, no,
they're not.
no, they're not.
I mean, go to the grocery store. How are we benefiting from the market being up there? We're talking the top 30 companies. That's what the Dow Jones is.
They're saying that two of the things that you even said your father liked about coming to America,
Uh-huh.
the freedom and that you could have possessions and you could have your home, etc. They're saying that the average man will no longer be able to afford a home and the average family can no longer go out to eat.
Well, it's exactly right. And Patty wasn't talking about coming to America with Eddie Murphy and
No, I was not.
Arsenio Hall. This is when my dad moved us to the United States when I was 3 years old.
He was a wee little one.
He said what makes the United States the greatest country in the world is you can be a middle-class person, own a home, die with dignity, and leave something of an inheritance for your family. That was called the American dream. Folks, hopefully we can hang on to that dream and participate in that dream and leave something for our family and have a life to lead. Folks, we are out of time this segment. We've got one more segment to go. Call us at 800-440-0434. Go to mymoneyissafe.com.
Somebody like you. I never dreamed that I'd lose somebody like you. No, I wanna fall in love. No, I wanna fall in love with you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have witnessed the political realm just influence every area of our life. We're paying higher taxes. We're paying higher inflation. We've got a lot of risk. We've got a lot of volatility. If you want to get rid of that risk and learn how to add double digits to your retirement account or triple digits or quadruple digits, call us at 800-440-0434. Think about an in-service rollover to your 401k to protect your money. We'll talk to you soon.
Oil investments involve a high degree of risk and actual results may vary. Oil and natural gas keep going up as the Russia conflict escalates. Get in on the next major oil boom now and help the U.S. with your patriotic investment that can potentially pay you monthly income for up to 20 or more years. That's the sound of a producing oil well and the sound of a smart investment. If you're an SEC-accredited investor and have at least $25,000 liquid now, you can take advantage of Encore Energy's projects and a huge tax savings for this year. If you invest in oil and natural gas, you're allowed to write off nearly 100% of your investment in the first year. Goldman Sachs is projecting oil to go up to $100 a barrel, and natural gas is the fuel of the future and trading at record prices. Call 800-287-6691. Encore Energy is a major investor and experienced operator in its core area of operations. Call now and learn how to deduct 100% of your investment and create 20 or more years of potential monthly income. Call 800-287-6691. That's 800-287-6691.
What a wicked thing to say. You never felt this way. What a wicked thing to do. To make me dream of you. And I wanna fall in love. Oh, I wanna fall in love with you. With you. The world was on fire, no one could stop.
Welcome back, listeners. This is Greg Ellie of the Prosperity Group, and the song that you heard was sung by my daughter, Annie Ellie, who happens to be in Hawaii, and it's called Wicked Games, and it was made popular. I remember on PBS when I first heard the song, it was by El Divo.
Did they do it before Chris Ice?
No, Chris Isaac did it first.
But you did
But-
not hear Chris
but
first.
I heard Chris Isaac too, but that caught my attention because
Okay.
it was sung very differently
Very.
with El Divo,
Yes,
you
it
know.
was.
But I love Chris Isaac's version. Actually, I like my daughter's version. So I'm not just biased. She's good, folks. You can go to anniellie.com. But so folks on the radio, we're bringing the ship home here. And if you go to our Facebook page, go to Prosperity Group at Facebook, you can see a brief picture of lemmings following each other over the cliff. And I'm serious about what I'm saying, folks,
Because you don't want their portfolio to be a lemming and it crashed.
and crashing like a lemming. That's exactly right. Patty, do you know, I call it water cooler advice,
Oh, gosh, yes.
where people will go to the water cooler and they'll talk about their 401k and, say, hey, George, what are you doing with your 401k? Oh, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. Everybody's situation is different. And here's the problem with 401ks, folks. 401ks have taken the responsibility of investing from the companies who are responsible for pensions and things of that nature and put it on you. So how many of you are financial experts, right? So then you hire a company that's going to charge you a fee to basically do what you could do because there's not that many options left. You got to look at your accounts right now. In fact, folks, many of you need to look at fixed options right now because you can get 4 or 5% on a fixed option. And that's not a bad strategy if you're worried about market volatility. And right now, folks, if you are not taking advantage of an in-service rollover, and what an in-service rollover allows you to do, typically at 59 and a half, sometimes earlier, 55, they will allow you to move your 401k into an IRA, make it a self-directed IRA, because your 401k in a sense is self-directed in a sense because you're picking the strategies, but it's just limited to the same strategies for everybody. So by having the 401k and putting it into an IRA, you've just gotten it out of the risk account if you follow our strategies. If you take it out of the 401k, put it into an IRA, but you're still in the market, you did not achieve some of the benefits of making your 401k safe. So folks, in the process of doing that, we've got accounts that'll add 25 to 40% into your 401k immediately. So think about this. You got $1 million 401k. You move it over to us, and we actually can add $250,000 to $400,000 to your account. Is that a good thing, folks? You ask yourself, So this is where we can help you quite a bit. And this is what we do for many people. When we did BMW pension rollovers, we did about $10 million of BMW pensions and 401k rollovers where those folks' money is safe. And that bucket of money is a safe bucket of money. And that means we don't have to call you up and tell you the market lost 30 or 40% because your money's not in an investment. It's in a high yield savings instruments with income guarantees. And these income guarantees are quite substantial, folks. You want to, number one, protect your money. Number two, guarantee your income. That's part of the prosperity plan. Folks, you can reach us at 800-440-0434 or go to mymoneyissafe.com. Patty, we got 7 more minutes to try to get this message to folks about protecting their accounts. I can't stress that enough.
Oh, absolutely. And you might also be sitting there saying, I have done very well for myself. I don't need income. I've got plenty of money.
Yeah.
And to that we say, God bless.
Well,
But that does not mean that you do not want to be a good steward of your money and take care of it and protect it and make the most of it and either find, we can help you find places to put it, but we can also help you grow and protect it for future heirs.
Yeah.
We can help you find income streams that you could save for your children and guarantee that your children's and your children's children will be financially secure.
It certainly can be done. And here's the interesting thing, Patty. People don't have to take undue risk.
No.
That's the thing. Think about it, folks. If I've got $1 million 401k and I move 700 of it into safety and I add 25%, I got another $1 million here and then I still got 250 over in the market.
Absolutely.
That's not a bad strategy,
That's
folks.
not a bad strategy. And we're not saying that the market is not for some people.
Right.
It's just not where you want to put the money that you are banking on, no pun intended, definitely no pun intended, for your retirement and to live on.
you know, Patty, we talk about the prosperity plan will help folks establish their personal prosperity.
Because you have put a lot of thought into that.
Yeah, because think about it. What we do, the first step is making the safe money strategy. It's to protect your money. The second phase of it is to make sure you have an income plan. And a lot of that's predicated on your age and things like that. But remember what I asked yesterday?
Y'all wired up yet, Doc?
When you retire, here's what you should ask yourself, folks. Am I prepared to be unemployed for the next 25 to 35 years?
Y'all wired up now, Doc? You ready to go? Oh, there he is. He's putting his earpiece in now. Here he comes. Here he comes. Any second now. He's going to plug in. There he goes. He's plugged in now. He's got to turn it on. Let's see if he can hear me at all. Can you hear me, Doc?
I can hear you now.
You sounding good, sir. How are you today?
I'm good. What's cooking?
Oh, I'm pretty quiet around here this morning. See, we're going to be talking about the heart today. I got a lot of, heart troubles myself, so that's all good. I can relate.
There you go. So I heard your voice, but I didn't see your face at Steve's retirement party.
Yeah, I had my second job I had to go to. I couldn't hang around, but I put a little tape together for him. I hope everybody enjoyed it.
I was shocked at how well Bill Bunkley looked.
Bill has looked the same since the day I met him.
You know why?
Why?
He's on tacrolimus for anti-rejection because he had a bone marrow transplant. So he's been on tacrolimus, and he's not aging. It's just, I was kind of shocked to see him. I didn't say anything to him. I was glad to see him, but
I'll take a box of it.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing to see. A little bit more proof of the theory that it actually does decrease or stop the aging process. Who knows?
Well, we'll have to increase Social Security taxes if it does.
Well, yeah, and wait till I retire, though.
I'm going to do this till the day I die. I plan on dying in front of a microphone.
There you go. So Steve was up there, and everybody finished giving their little blurbs, and then everybody looked at me, so I stood up and I said, "He may be one of the best marketing guys you've ever seen, and he may be one of the nicest guys to have in your corporation. But I tell you, he's the worst patient ever. He was half dead, and he wanted to go home. He's getting up out of the bed and said, 'I'm leaving.'"
Did he really say that?
Yeah, he said, "I'm going home." I said, "Whatever. You're not dying anymore. Get out of here."
Such an easygoing guy. I can't imagine him doing that.
Well, I think after almost a week in the hospital, he was pretty stir crazy.
Yeah, the food will do that to him.
Well, the food's good, but during the pandemic, you couldn't even leave your room because we were so paranoid. We didn't know. And so everybody was confined to their room. So he's in a 10 by 12 or 12 by 15 room for a week. And he can look out through the window because the rooms have glass windows, but he can't get out and do anything. He can't even walk around.
If it was me, you would have had to bring in a pack of cigarettes for sure.
I would just slap a bunch of nicotine patches on you.
I've never tried the patch. I should probably try the patch.
Yeah, you should try it.
A friend of mine almost OD'd on, he was smoking and doing the patch. And I guess he got in a lot of trouble, ended up in a hospital.
That'll teach him.
Yeah, he did. He quit the patch.
He kept smoking.
He's still smoking to this day. Yeah.
They used to use nicotine as an insecticide. Did you know that?
As an insect, really? It kills bugs.
It kills bugs. It kills people too if you get enough of it.
All right. Well, that's why Arlen I doesn't have a lot of mosquitoes, I guess.
And when I grew up in Kentucky, we'd drive out through the countryside, and all the farmers would have a tobacco base. So the government would allow you, a half an acre or an acre or whatever to grow tobacco, and that was their cash income, because a lot of these people were sharecroppers. They were tenant farmers. They leased the land, and they'd give the owner a certain percentage of whatever they took to market. So if they wanted some extra money for the books and clothes for the kids to go to school, they had to have a tobacco patch. And then at harvest time, they'd bring it all in and they'd hang it up in barns and upside down and let it cure. And then the tobacco tasters would come in and they'd sniff it and crumble it up and smoke a little bit of it and burn it and sniff it. It was fascinating to see. And then they'd auction off these lots of tobacco. And so
I had no idea.
Yeah, and so the companies like Philip Morris and what did Duke start? I can't remember. At any rate, the various companies that did it that were making cigarettes and selling them, they would send their reps in to bid on the tobacco. And then they'd bring the tobacco to their factory and turn it into cigarettes and cigars and pipe tobacco and chewing tobacco and whatever else, snuff.
Well, I'm going to just keep on smoking mine, I guess, because I don't seem to be able to quit. Don't even really want to, I don't think.
Well, that's the hard thing is if somebody doesn't want to stop smoking or stop eating, there's not much you can do because it's ubiquitous. It's everywhere and it's legal. They won't arrest you for driving and smoking.
No, they're not yet.
Not yet.
But Joe wants to take all my menthol away. I want him to take the menthol out of the cough drops, too, because obviously menthol is bad. It's got to be taken out of everything.
Well, yeah. I mean,
just can't pick on cigarettes now.
Shriveled up my right arm.
Okay, Doc, we got about 3 minutes before the news here, so go to work and I'll see you on the other side.
Yes, sir.
3-4, learn how to add 25 to 40% to your retirement accounts. Thank you very much. God bless you.
The preceding is sponsored by Prosperity Group, LLC, and is a pre-recorded program. To learn more, visit mymoneyissafe.com. That's mymoneyissafe.com.
Dennis Prager sees a biased world leadership.
The United Nations is a lying, despicable organization. The United Nations has passed more resolutions against Israel than any other country in the world. Iran, North Korea, Communist China, Russia, Israel. Israel's the world villain at the United Nations because there are 52 Muslim countries at the United Nations.
The Dennis Prager Show, weekdays at noon on AM 860, The Answer, and theanswertampa.com.
We all know that aches and pains come with simply getting older, but it doesn't mean you have to accept it. That's why I want to tell you about a special lady, Leah from Ohio, and her Relief Factor story. One Sunday, Leah was sitting on the couch in so much pain, she was literally in tears. That's when she decided to try Relief Factor. Just 8 days later, she found relief, and she continued to get better and better. To quote her, she said, "I am truly amazed at this product. Like me, who after 9, almost 10 years, almost a decade of low back pain, lost that pain thanks to Relief Factor. If you're living with aches and pains, see how Relief Factor, a daily drug-free supplement, could help you feel and live better every day. Get the 3-week quick starter pack at relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF. It all comes with the feel better or your money back guarantee. That number, 1-800-4RELIEF. relieffactor.com.
Are you ready to embark upon an unforgettable expedition this summer? I hope you'll join me, Mike Gallagher, along with Dr. Sebastian Gorka and our special guests on the Patriots Alaska Cruise. We'll unpack the trends and influences shaping our world today while sailing the pristine coast of Alaska over 4th of July. Learn more at patriotsalaskacruise.com. This experience is way more than a vacation. It's a chance to participate in spirited discussions and thought-provoking lectures on board the ship with like-minded patriots. 7 action-packed days. We'll chart a course toward a bright American future, all while surrounded by Alaska's rustic and natural wonders on a beautiful luxury cruise ship. You'll experience powerful creation immersed in the splendor of glaciers and fjords. Mark your calendar, June 29th, July the 6th. Secure your cabin by calling 855-565-5519 or book online at patriotsalaskacruise.com.
WGUL and W229DJ Dunedin. Powered by Prosperity Group. Come grow with us and reach your retirement goals.
Experience the best selection of cigars and accessories in the country. Corona Cigar is located at 4142 West Boy Scout Boulevard across from International Plaza, or visit coronacigar.com.
With SRN News, I'm Michael Harrington in Washington. The House of Representatives has given its okay to a $95 billion package of foreign aid for Ukraine, Israel, and other U.S. allies. Congressional leaders completed the measure in a rare Saturday session. It now goes to the Senate, which is expected to pass it this week. Speaker Mike Johnson has put his job on the line and relied on Democratic support to get this far. Joe Biden's campaign team is concerned about Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s independent presidential campaign. More on that from White House correspondent Greg Clugston.
More than 6 months before the election, President Biden appeared with more than a dozen members of the Kennedy family last week to receive their endorsement. It was hardly a surprise that many in the prominent Democratic family announced their support for the president. But the event indicated how seriously the Biden campaign views the potential threat of RFK Jr.'s campaign. On the same day his family embraced Joe Biden, Kennedy Jr. secured a place on the ballot in the battleground state of Michigan. Greg Clugston, the White House.
Meanwhile, President Biden says he wants to raise $5 trillion in revenue over 10 years with higher taxes on the wealthy and corporations. His platform includes a billionaire's tax. Heritage Foundation senior policy analyst David Ditch says the proposal will not improve America's economic well-being.
Not only is it going to make America's businesses uncompetitive, not only is it going to try to double and triple tax money people have earned, it's also going to do all that without actually getting America's finances on track.
He was a guest of the Salem Radio Network. Ecuadorians to the polls today in a referendum touted by the country's fledgling leader as a way to crack down on criminal gangs behind a spiraling wave of violence. This is SRN News.
Get ready for 3 days of extraordinary store-wide savings at International Diamond Center. Not this weekend, but next weekend. You get extra savings across the board. Up to 20% off. Rings, bands, bracelets, earrings, thousands of engagement ring mounting. Best prices all year and up to 3 years, zero interest. Next weekend at IDC.
Together, we'll join hands and hearts at the 31st Annual Tampa National Day of Prayer Brunch on Thursday, May 2nd. Join Faith Talk Tampa for this time-honored tradition at Armature Works, where our community lifts up our nation and its leaders in prayer around the theme, Lift Up the Word, Light Up the World, followed by an address by keynote speaker Laura Story. The Tampa National Day of Prayer Brunch. Get tickets now at letstalkfaith.com.
I love this song. I love nachos.
Loving everything? You might be buzzed.
You know what I'd love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzz warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Helping you get where you're trying to go. Get digital media solutions for your business. Visit surroundtampa.com. Surroundtampa.com. Just when you thought your smartphone couldn't get any smarter, now you can add the AM860 app. With local news, national headlines, and commentary. The answer is smart. Adding the AM860 app to your smartphone is genius. Get it now at the Apple App Store and Google Play.
The following program is sponsored by Bay Area Medical Can Care Clinic.
Today will be sunny to partly cloudy and pleasant with a high of 83. Some clouds tonight, thunderstorm and spots late, low 70. Then look for a couple of morning thunderstorms tomorrow. Otherwise, a mix of clouds and sunshine and a high of 79. Gusty winds and small hail can accompany the downpours. Clear skies Monday night, low 60. Mostly sunny Tuesday, high 83. That's your AccuWeather forecast. I'm Holly Holdren for AM 860, The Answer.
Go, Doc. Good morning. This is Dr. Bill, your radio MD, and I'm doing a radio show. I got Ken with me today, I think. Are you there, Ken?
I certainly am, Doc. Always by your side on Sunday.
Oh,
you know
right. I feel better already. You know, I feel so insecure when you're not with me.
That's heartwarming. Thank you very much.
And you know, incidentally, I did go to Steve Baltimore's retirement party over at the station. What was it, Thursday?
Yeah, Steve's our sales manager. And
he was our sales manager, and he's retiring. And I went over there because Mary called me and said, "Hey, Doc, we're having a party for Steve." I said, "What time?" And she said, "Well, for the staff, it's 12 to 1 or something like that." And I said, "Well, okay." She says, well, you're not really staff, but you're family. So come on over. So I came over.
And people were delighted you did.
And guess what?
What?
You were not there.
No, I wasn't.
I was
But I
upset.
left a tape. I left a tape for everybody.
You were doing another show somewhere for the Chicago station.
That's right. I do that in the afternoon. Yeah. So I'm a busy guy.
So Bill Bunkley.
If I knew you were coming, I would have made arrangements to be there.
You should have made arrangements. I was hurt.
They
But
didn't
I
tell
heard
me.
your voice.
There you go. You heard the
So
tape.
it was almost as good.
And you got some good food, I understand. So
Yeah, well, we got good food and cake and good company. I saw Bill Bunkley. I saw Mike Gallagher. I saw Chemo. I saw the whole gang. And I met the news station manager.
Yeah.
And of course, Mary and Barb came by, the old station manager, Barb Yoder.
Yeah.
Good to see her. She's still alive. And
she's still alive.
She's still alive. I mean,
you only left about a year ago.
Well, she's in that like 5% or less who survived pancreatic cancer. Hard to believe.
So I didn't know it was pancreatic. I didn't know that.
Absolutely. And
that is amazing. Yeah.
Fortunately, it was the cancer. Usually the cancer is back in the middle of the pancreas or the tail. And the head of the pancreas is where the duct from the pancreas comes and empties into the small bowel. The pancreas gives you those digestive enzymes as well as releasing insulin and other hormones into the bloodstream. So at any rate, she had that cancer right at the duct where it empties into the small bowel. So she had symptoms early on, which was really great. And we were able to cure her. She had a Whipple and chemo and radiation, all kinds of things. She's still cranking away.
Yeah, and usually when you get that, by the time you find out, it's too late.
It's too late. Yeah, it's a death sentence. So she got lucky. And she's always saying, well, it was, because of God, and she prayed and all that. And I'm like, what about Dr. Bill? Didn't he do anything?
You just get the check. Don't worry about it.
I got second billing. I mean, it's like I was the main man.
But you got the check, and that's the good thing.
I got the check, and we got the checkup, so we're good. So
it was a great party. I'm sorry I couldn't be there, but I just couldn't swing it Thursday.
Amazingly, Bill Bunkley looks the same as he did 10 years, 15 years ago. And I was thinking about it, and you know what? He is on the same medicine I'm taking for anti-aging. He's on tacrolimus. He's on that because he had bone marrow transplant. And of course, that's a tissue transplant of sorts. And so for anti-rejection, he is on the tacrolimus. And it seems to be keeping him from aging. I was surprised to see that.
I'll take a bus full.
Well, you got to quit smoking first, or I'm not giving you anything else. I'm going to let you die.
If there are qualifications, forget it. No.
You got qualifications, buddy boy. So get in line, or we're going to kill you.
Well, I'm doing that by myself. Don't worry about it, Doc.
All right. Okay.
I don't need any help.
We'll get out of the way and let you take care.
Let me get on with my business. That's right. What do you got behind you? I'm looking at you. You can see the doc, by the way, if you want to go to Dr. Bill Radio MD on Facebook, and you can see the show while we're doing it here. You got some stuff behind you there on the old
Absolutely.
green
So
screen.
I admitted a 94-year-old who was in heart failure, and she has what's called diastolic heart failure, which is over here. That one.
On the left?
Yeah, and then on the right.
You'd make a terrible weather guy, by the way.
I know I'd have to train, wouldn't I?
You can't work with a green screen behind. It's all backwards. Yeah.
Okay, so this is the main pumping chamber here, the left ventricle. And in diastolic heart failure, what classically occurs is that the ventricle thickens up, and you can see the muscle is thickened, whereas in systolic heart failure, the muscle typically thins out. Now, of course, there's overlap, and it doesn't always do this, but this is just for an understanding. So what happens when you have a stiff muscle, Ken?
You ache.
You have a hard time extending your arm if your muscles are stiff or moving around, right?
Well, certainly, but it
You
hurts
can contract,
too,
but
usually,
expanding is hard. So it's the same with the heart. The heart can contract, and it can squeeze out a good ejection fraction. The ejection fraction is the amount of blood before and after the big squeeze. So, but you don't fill up as much. So let's say normally you'd fill up with 100 cc's of blood and you'd squeeze out 60. That would be an ejection fraction of 60%. But with diastolic heart failure, you can't relax all the way, so you don't fill up all the way. So let's say you get 70 to 80 cc's and you even have a 60% ejection fraction. That's only 40 to 50 cc's of blood per squeeze, and it's hard for the heart to relax and do its job, especially when there's a demand. Say, for instance, you get up and walk around, or you're doing some housework, or you're riding your bicycle, or whatever. You cannot meet the demands of your body. Your body says, I want more blood, I want more oxygen, and the heart says, I'm doing the best I can, but I can't do any more because I can't fill up. So that's diastolic heart failure. And then what happens is fluid backs up. And when fluid backs up into the lungs and into the periphery, then you get more short of breath and you have more trouble. And so admitted this woman, and she has diastolic heart failure, and she also has high blood pressure in her lung fields from lung disease. She was a former smoker. So she's got a double hit. And she was having trouble at home. And I told her son, I said, look, let's put her in the hospital. And then finally he said, okay. So we put her in, and we're trying to get some fluid off of her and get her heart rate controlled and all that. The problem is she's also in kidney failure, Ken. So you can only use so much diuretics, medications that make you pee out salt and water without killing the kidneys all the way. So we're in a balancing act. And at 94, she said, well, I'm ready to go. If I go, I go. And that's a good attitude to have.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I think that we can do her some good if we can keep her kidneys alive. Now, you can use dialysis in heart failure if the kidneys are not working properly. But at her age, I don't know that she would want that. It's even though you can do it short term, it would still be a big commitment. And it's also a strain because your heart has to pump harder to move the blood through the dialysis machine, even though there's a pump in the dialysis machine that helps move the blood through. Your heart still has to do some work.
Well, if it's up to me and I'm in that situation and I have to spend a great portion of my day just trying to live to tomorrow, I would say, well, I'm going to go to the beach. See you later.
Well, and I'll be about 250, 300 yards away with my scope and my rifle. And I'll put you out of your misery.
Well, you're better than a shark, I guess. So
well, then we throw you in for the sharks.
Afterwards, right.
I believe in
money on a
recycling.
funeral.
Yeah, I believe in recycling, and it saves money.
So
how do we treat heart failure? Well, you got to get the fluid off, so you got to give a water pill, a diuretic, and you got to give back the sodium and the potassium and magnesium that you lose when you pee all that out. And you can also get rid of the fluid, as I said, with dialysis. You want to control the heart rate, especially in diastolic heart failure. So we use a beta blocker like metoprolol or atenolol, one of those. And you can also dilate the peripheral blood vessels with medications like calcium channel blockers. You can also use an alpha beta blocker like labetalol, which will slow the heart rate down and dilate the blood vessels in the periphery. And you want to control the heart rhythm, because if you have a real fast heart rate, of course, you can't fill up. If you shorten the heart cycle, then it can't fill up. There's not enough time. So then you got a double whammy there.
What about the chamber itself? Is there any way to increase the volume that it can grab? Is there anything you can do to reverse that?
Well, we know that if you're on an ACE inhibitor or you're on an ARB, an angiotensin blocker, converting enzyme inhibitor, that over time you can shrink the size of the heart muscle down. It is somewhat reversible until you get to a certain point. And then, of course, like anything, you get to a point where it's just not feasible. We can also use an aldosterone blocker. Aldosterone is one of the hormones released by the adrenal glands, and we block that with spironolactone, or one of the medications. Similar to that, aldosterone makes you hang on to salt and water, so it increases the amount of fluid in the system, makes it even harder. And we can decrease your heart rate with medication, or we can try and get you back into a regular sinus rhythm, and do that by electroconversion, shocking you. So we knock you out for a few minutes. I'll slip a scope down your throat, make sure there's no clots in your heart. Look at the heart from the back, because when you see it from the inside the food tube, the esophagus, the heart and the esophagus are right next to each other. They're just separated by a couple of thin-walled membranes. The esophagus is pretty thin, and then there's a little connective tissue between the heart and the esophagus. So we get a really good view of the receiving chambers at the top. We can make sure you don't have any clots in there, no holes in your heart, that sort of thing. So we work on the heart rate, shock you. We can, if you have systolic heart failure, we can give you an agent that will make you squeeze harder, like digoxin, and we have other medications we can use acutely. So we have some things that we can do, Ken, but diastolic heart failure is tough to treat. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm not going to ask, is something later in life, or can this hit anytime? I mean, 40s above or 50s above, or?
We usually see this later in life because over time, high blood pressure tends to thicken the heart up. That's why it's so important to stay on your blood pressure medicines, or get on medicines if you have high blood pressure. See, what happens is the heart's a muscle, and the work that it has to produce is to squeeze blood out into the big aorta and get that around into the body. So if you have an increased thickness of the blood vessels in the periphery, then you have decreased flow, and so it's harder for the heart to push blood through that because the pressure's higher in the aorta from all these little blood vessels squeezing. And so you're working against a pressure head, and the heart, like any other muscle, the harder it has to work, the bigger it gets. So if you want to see how that happens, just go to the gym and look at these guys that do this, this bodybuilding stuff, and they lift big weights and all that, heavy weights. So they get these huge muscles, which really don't do them any good other than to look nice. But they feel like it does them good. And I tell my patients, they say, what about weightlifting for cardiovascular health? And I say, you can do some upper body work with some heavy weights, but really the best thing is to do aerobic activity 30 minutes a day, like running or riding your bicycle or swimming, or doing something where you're not trying to build up muscle mass per se. You're trying to build up endurance and increase flow to your muscles by dilating the blood vessels, as you do when you exercise. And if you think about it, you pump iron and you're grunting and groaning, you're really actually putting more stress on your heart rather than less. So
get on a bike.
Yeah, get on a bike, and it's a tricky thing. And we of course encourage you, if you want to live longer, as I've said before, 30 minutes of aerobic activity every day of your life, and you'll put 4 to 5 years more onto your life. You'll decrease your risk of diabetes and heart attacks and strokes. So it's a good thing.
If you say so.
In my opinion.
Oh, no, I'm sure it is.
Well, yeah. Well, my opinion is what counts for this.
What do I know? Exactly. Look at me. I'm falling apart.
Yeah.
Don't emulate me, folks.
What am I going to do with you? I'm going to take you out back and whip you, boy.
What does that cost?
That's extra.
Is that extra? Okay.
As I tell my patients who say, maybe it's time for me to go, and I say, well, I got to dig a hole in the backyard, so I have to rent the backhoe, and that's extra. We have to add that onto the bill.
Oh, sure, yeah.
There's bullets. There's depreciation on the gun. There's my time and effort.
Licensing, I'm sure,
Licensing, yeah. You got to get a special license to kill your neighbor, even if they want to be dead.
All right, so the heart, you get more heart mass, muscle mass in a what is it, diastolic? And less in a systolic.
That's diastolic heart failure.
Diastolic, there it is, okay.
And then this is systolic,
and that has less. Now, why does that have less?
Well, what happens is after a heart attack, the muscle wall will tend to thin out because you have killed some of the tissue. Now, you can also have other diseases that cause the heart to thin out, but also when you stretch the heart. So if you fill the heart up, a normal heart, and you fill it up with too much blood and it stretches it out, even if it's an acute event, it may not come back to complete normal. So then you have problems with the heart and continuing to stretch and get bigger and bigger, and the muscle wall thins out.
So it doesn't have enough power then to push through it?
It doesn't have enough power.
So there's like a little balancing act in the heart. It's got to be just right, I guess.
Yes, everything has to be just perfect, like me. I mean, like my heart.
You got a good heart, buddy.
I got a good heart. I don't know how well it beats, but it loves everybody.
And that's all that's important.
But that means if you love everybody, you can also kill everybody, because
It's a thin line between love and hate. Yeah.
yeah, well, I found that out with my first two wives. You got to be careful there, bud. And when I heard they were still mad at me, I said, "Oh, they still love me. Isn't that nice?"
Hell, yeah, sure. Absolutely. They got some feelings for you. If
Yeah.
they didn't care at all, then, well.
Yeah, I mean, if they really didn't like me, they would who cares? Let him
That's
go.
right. Exactly. They would have moved on.
So you heard California, they instituted this $20 minimum wage.
Yeah, I heard.
And businesses are closing. I guess there's a discount store chain called 99 cents, and they're closing. So apparently this is something that is affecting the workers out there as well as the consumers. And this is a big problem, buddy boy.
Well, I mean, when you think about the inflation we've just gone through and where food prices are, especially at restaurants these days, they're going to go up if you want to pay somebody $20. I mean, it's just that if you got to pay the $20, you got to raise the prices or take the loss, and they're not going to take the loss. They shouldn't have to.
No, they shouldn't.
But have somebody come in, for a $25 burger is not going to happen either, usually.
No, people are not going to put up with that. There's only so much you can do. And then people are going to revolt, and they're going to say, "No, I'm not doing that."
Exactly. They say no with their shoes. They go somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happened to Catholicism. Our generation, we didn't like what we were saying, and a lot of us voted with our feet, and we left.
Mm-hmm.
And that's problematic if you're trying to run an organization that proclaims to be there for the betterment of humanity, and people are saying, "Wait a minute, something's not right here."
Yeah. So it's great for the employees, I guess, but for everybody else,
there's no job.
Well, if you lose the job,
down.
right.
I mean,
Yeah,
you lose your job. What
true.
good is that? And I think that's one of the problems with communism is it says, well, the proletariat should take over and everybody should have a job, and we should all get the same thing, and there should be a progressive income tax, and nobody should be able to inherit their wealth. And
if they do, we should tax it 5 times before it gets to you.
Well, yeah, just take it away from them. Part of the problem with communism is that there's no moral basis for it. It says that you can do anything you want to get to where you want to go, which is communism, the communist utopia. So the dissolution, and this is right out of the Communist Manifesto, the dissolution of old moral bonds, of the old family relations, of the old nationalities has to be done away with. So basically their goal is to, and it's working, they're breaking down the family bonds with things like daycare and encouraging people to get a divorce so they can get a cheap house, government subsidized housing. Did you know that, I don't know if it's still true, but back in the 60s when they implemented all this, they made it so that if you were married, you couldn't get this housing or you couldn't get as much money for it. So all the guys said, "Oh, to hell with it. I'm leaving. You got your own place. You got money now. I'm gone. I'm going out and playing the ponies and getting drunk."
Golf. Yeah, sure. Well, I don't know what's next as far as our political future is concerned, but
well, the communists openly declare that their end can be attained only by the forcible overthrow of all existing social conditions. Let the ruling classes tremble at a communist revolution. The proletariat have nothing to lose but their chains, and they have a world to win. So what do? You do whatever you can, and you take whatever you can. And that's the problem. If you have the end as your goal and the means are only there to get to that end, then you are the antithesis of everything that we believe is Western society. our morals and values are that the end does not justify the means. You have to weigh the relative merits and the morals of the means with the end that you want to get to. So it's a little bit of a balancing act there, Ken, and that's why democracy, for all of its problems, seems to work, because there's reflection on what the means are to get to that end. And I think we just saw that with the vote yesterday, where the House approved the aid to Ukraine and Israel and Taiwan, but they also attached the TikTok bill to it. Did you see that?
I did, and I was happy to see that. Yes.
And people say, well, they're going to get rid of TikTok. No, that's not what the bill
No.
says. The bill says that TikTok must be owned by non-communist, non-Chinese people. So they'll have to sell it if it passes the Senate, and they'll have to sell at least their non-communist interest in it. Now they may maintain that company still in China, but in the Western world, or at least in the United States, it'll have to be owned by somebody else.
In case you don't know, there's been whistleblowers essentially from TikTok who have left the corporation and are now saying that all of the basic information on you that they pick up on TikTok goes right to China. And that's what they're trying to stop. They don't care about TikTok in this country. You can have it, just can't send that information to China. That's all.
Yeah, and I think that makes it at least questionable, and more likely than not, gives more armamentarium to the Chinese communists to keep tabs on us and to try and influence what we do and say and who we vote for and what we think. And they don't have a problem, I'm sure, pushing the Communist Manifesto onto us, even though I don't think they really practice it.
Not entirely, no.
No, because
not like Russia does or Korea.
North Korea, because there is private ownership, but if you're big enough, then the communists want a cut of it. Instead of taxing it, they just own 51%.
That's right.
So they get their 51% before anybody else.
Yeah, it's just greed everywhere. I mean, they just skim it right off. It's like Haiti. Same thing there.
Yep. And so now we have the company bosses are changing their rhetoric from back during the pandemic when they were encouraging people to be activists for social justice and equality and all this and that. And now they're saying, cool it. We don't want to hear that.
Nobody wants to be the next Bud Light. That's right.
And so they're firing people. And so
Google, I guess, fired a whole bunch of people. They had a little sit-in there at Google.
Yeah, and
they fired them all.
They fired them all, baby.
Yeah, and they should have. This is a workplace. This is not do that out in the streets.
I think there were 20 or 30 employees that got sacked.
Closer to 40, I think, but yeah.
Was it closer to 40?
Yeah, they did it at a couple locations across the country.
Yeah, well, I guess at the main office it was 28, and then at some other places they added more. Yeah. And you can't blame them, Ken. I mean, they have a business to run, and if you have these people who are activists and saying that we are evil because we're not woke enough, or we're not integrated enough, or we're not socialist enough, or we said something nice about Trump.
You can believe that all you want. You just can't do anything about here at Google. So move on.
So get out.
Yeah. Don't do it.
I've been watching these left-wing loonies on CNN and MSNBC and all that, and they're like, lock Trump up. They don't care if he's innocent or guilty. They say he's an evil human being and needs to be locked up. I keep looking for something evil about him. I mean, he's a showman and he's a big mouth, but if you listen very closely to what he says, he really doesn't say anything racist or sexist or un-American or anything like that. They just make up anything about him. So hopefully he will continue to shine and to stay ahead of Joe. But I see where Kennedy is now on the ballot in some of the swing states, and that, of course, is going to be the nail in the coffin for Biden and the Democrats, I think.
You saw Joe and the entire Kennedy clan this week endorsing
Holding
Joe.
hands, yeah, kumbaya and all that.
Kumbaya, that's right. A lot of kumbaya out there. Hey, it's
Kumbaya.
9:29, Doc.
Dang, where'd the time go?
I don't know. First half of the show just flew by. It's time for a question. And this is good for 2 Dr. Bill, your Radio MD coffee mugs. If you're the first person to correctly answer, it's going to be a tough question today. I hope you were paying attention because we always pulled the question from something we talked about in the first half of the show. The number to call, by the way, is 877-969-8600. That's 877-969-8600 for 2 Dr. Bill, your Radio MD coffee mugs. Be the first person with the correct answer to this question. Which has more muscle heart? All right? Which has more muscle heart? Diastolic or systolic heart attacks? Is that
Heart
a good way to put
failure.
the question?
Heart failure.
Heart failure, right? It's not attack; it's a heart failure. So, which has more? Which the problem of which one is too much muscle mass? That is diastolic or systolic.
See if you can suss that one out, folks.
Tough question. Hope you're paying attention and taking notes. 877-969-8600 is the number to call for those 2 Dr. Bill, your Radio MD coffee mugs. Anything else you'd like to say before we go?
727-384-6411, 727-384-6411. Dr. Bill is open for business. We'll be right back, folks.
Experience the best selection of cigars and accessories in the country. Corona Cigar is located at 4142 West Boy Scout Boulevard across from International Plaza, or visit coronacigar.com.
With SRN News, I'm Michael Harrington in Washington. $95 billion of foreign aid for Ukraine, Israel, and other U.S. allies. That's what the House passed yesterday after months of battling over it on Capitol Hill. Congressional leaders completed the bill in a rare Saturday session and sent it on to the Senate, which is expected to approve it on Tuesday. 4 bills providing aid to Ukraine, Israel, Indo-Pacific allies, and a measure dealing with TikTok, all overwhelmingly approved. President Biden says he plans to sign them. River Port City in Argentina, once well known as the birthplace of soccer superstar Lionel Messi, in recent years has grown notorious as a drug trafficking hub with an escalating homicide rate 5 times the national average. Dangers reached new heights this past month when narco gangs went on a deadly rampage in Rosario, targeting civilians in retaliation for government crackdowns. This is SRN News.
Dr. Bill for Bay Area Medical, located at 6399 38th Avenue North in St. Pete, 727-384-6411, 727-384-6411. Full service clinic with x-ray, heart imaging, ultrasound, stress testing, and minor surgery. We provide quality health care in a warm and friendly atmosphere. We are multilingual, well-trained, and certified. Most American insurance and new patients accepted. Bay Area Medical, home of Can Care, 727-384-6411. 727-384-6411.
Dr. Bill here. With social distancing and sheltering in place, telemedicine is here. Bay Area Medical Home of Can Care Clinic offers telemedicine for new and established patients. You can see me without an in-office visit. Schedule an appointment at 727-384-6411, 727-384-6411. When it's time for your appointment, type this web address into your cell phone or computer web browser, doxy.me/Bay Area Med. A cell phone works well and is all you really need. For computers, you need a web camera and speakers. We'll give you this address when you call for your appointment. We accept most insurances and travel insurances. Canadians and visitors, please call your travel insurance company for an authorization number prior to the visit. Copays and deductibles apply. Self-pay rates are available. Just ask. We accept credit cards, PayPal, and Stripe. 727-384-6411, 727-384-6411.
Dr. Bill here. My friends at St. Pete MRI and Sleep Diagnostics are your best choice for state-of-the-art MRI, CT, and sleep studies. Quality unsurpassed. 25 years experience makes St. Pete MRI my go-to imaging center. Self-pay rates are competitive and out-of-pocket cost a fraction of a hospital. Conveniently accessible from both sides of the bay at 750 94th Avenue North, St. Pete, near the Gandy. 727-577-2220, 727-577-2220.
Helping you get where you're trying to go. Get digital media solutions for your business. Visit surroundtampa.com. Surroundtampa.com.
Today will be sunny to partly cloudy and pleasant with a high of 83. Some clouds tonight, thunderstorm in spots late, low 70. Then look for a couple of morning thunderstorms tomorrow. Otherwise, a mix of clouds and sunshine and a high of 79. Gusty winds and small hail can accompany the downpours. Clear skies Monday night, low 60. Mostly sunny Tuesday, high 83. That's your AccuWeather forecast. I'm Holly Holdren for AM 860.
Doc?
And I'm back. This is Dr. Bill. I got Ken by my side, and we are doing a show, and we are on radio. We're on Facebook and YouTube and Twitch, and you can catch the shows. If you miss us now, you can catch it later because I think they save all that on the various channels that we're streaming out on. You can also go to the radio station and pick up our old shows if you just have audio. If you just have a radio, you can get it there. So there you
listen
go.
right here live. That's right. Or you can go to Dr. Bill, your Radio MD on Facebook and watch it live as well.
Yep, you can get it all, buddy. So you remember Audrey Hale, the transgender woman, became a man or boy or whatever, and went into that Christian school a year or two ago in Tennessee and shot up the place, killed 6 people.
Mm-hmm.
So the family of Hale left her estate to the families, the victims of her shooting, and the government, the city and the county and the state will not release her manifesto and her documents that they found when they investigated this. So the families have sued for that, and they'll probably win it. But then the state will no doubt appeal that and try and hang on to it. Not sure why they would want to hang on to that, Ken, unless it's to prevent copycats. But I don't know.
It depends what it says. I can't imagine what it would say. That.
Yeah, I mean, what would it say? And I think it's ridiculous to have all this censorship, like on these cop shows, they won't show the bodies.
Right.
What's the difference? I mean, people need to get used to seeing death anyway. It used to be in the old days, before we had modern medicine, that you had family members die, kids died in infancy, and the children had death games that they played, and they'd have death dolls, and you'd prop the body up in the living room, and you'd have a wake or whatever. And so we were used to death as part of life. Now we're at this stage where we think we're going to live forever. Guess what?
Ain't gonna happen, is it?
It ain't gonna happen. So one of my doctor friends who's retired, he and his wife are in, and he's done extremely well, and they're very wealthy people. But they are into all this organic stuff. They don't like medicine. They won't take any medications if they can help it. And they were talking about noni juice or something like that. And they asked me what I thought, and I said, well, I don't see any data. I don't see any real research that shows that it does anything. Yeah, but they're like, there's thousands of years of experience with it. What does that mean? Thousands of years of experience. There are thousands of years of experience with Ayurvedic medicine. The Chinese and Indian medicine. They'd feel your pulse and sniff your urine and then give you some herbs and spices until you'd be okay. And people go home and they felt better for a while. But guess what?
Psychological.
Yeah, and also guess what else?
What's
they
that?
still died young.
Oh, yeah.
They still died young. So I don't know, how do you change that? I don't think you can, because people want to feel like they're in control of their health, Ken, and they feel like if I'm taking medicine that's made by somebody else, well, that could be bad. That could be bad. And I can't tell you the number of people that come in and I say, did you take the medicine because your cholesterol's still up? No, I read online all the side effects from it. And, like, don't go to Google, don't read. But I told you we've had 3 cases of Google cancer this year, and damn, they won't die, and they keep coming back.
Google cancer. Huh?
I can't get rid of them. They're coming in.
They're
once a
sick. They
week.
just don't believe it. That's all.
No, they, if they really, really embraced it, they'd probably commit suicide. But
that's got to be terribly and frustrating, though, for you guys.
Well, you get used to it. I mean, you just say, look, if you read all this stuff, and the FDA, and they want warnings on everything, and we've talked about this before because of thalidomide back in the 60s.
Right.
And so they put down every little thing. So if somebody starts taking a statin drug and they trip and fall and skin their knee, less than 1% of people who took this drug tripped and fell and skinned their knee. So, yeah, it's like, okay. I mean,
Well, you got to admit, some of these commercials that they run, you know, the
They're
disclaimer
scary.
they're talking about while you're watching these people play volleyball is scarier than the actual disease you may have.
yeah, it is. But what you don't see is that it's really anecdotal, a lot of it, or if it's proven during the study, it's such a small percentage. So the odds of you having a longer, better life are much greater by taking the medicine than they are of having something happen from the medicine. You know,
Why do they advertise this stuff on TV anyway? I mean, I'm not, if I walk into your office and I say I want this medicine for this particular problem, are you going to give it to me, or are you going to go with what you think is best for it?
I'll give you whatever you want, Ken, as long as you pay your bill.
Right.
Hey, part of medicine is sales, dude. The customer is always right. Well, I mean, I'll make suggestions and I'll say, look, this is a good drug, but we have to try other things first, or there's really not a lot of proof that this drug works. This is new on the market. Why don't we give it a little time? Or this is what my experience with what I've seen with this drug, and I'll talk to you about it as an adult. One adult would talk to another, unless you're really an idiot, and then I'll talk to you like you're an idiot. But I think that part of the reason that there's so much advertising on TV now is that the government threatened to step in and clamp down on the drug companies advertising to doctors. So we used to get free trips and meals and trinkets and ballpoint pens and pads, paper, and all this kind of stuff. I mean, they do all kinds of things for us. But the government said, well, this is influencing the doctors. They're not smart enough to want to try some drug other than the brand name Mitsunbuki Baku or whatever it is. And so we have to stop this because the doctors are idiots, which may be true, but I didn't prescribe things because I got trinkets. I prescribed something because I thought it was a good drug, and then I'd ask for trinkets. I'd say, look, I'm prescribing your drug. Give me something. I want to be rewarded for this. So now they don't do that anymore. So these companies have a lot of money that they formerly spent on advertising to doctors for advertisement, and so they go directly to the consumer.
And they get them to pressure you guys.
In some ways, it makes more sense because then the patients come in and they say, I want this drug. And you look at it and you read about it. You say, hey, it sounds like a good drug. Of course, it costs you $10,000 a month, but you know, if that's what you want, you got it, baby.
What would you get the, what do they call it? Generic.
Well, you got to remember now when a new drug comes out.
There are no generics, right?
There's no generics because they have a patent on this for 16 years now. And if they recombine it with another drug at the end of 16 years, and they get another patent. And so you can manipulate the situation. And because of all of this, and because of the length of time it takes to develop a new drug and the cost engendered therein and the legal fees and the lawsuits and all that, there are dozens and dozens of really good drugs sitting on the shelves of big pharmaceutical companies, and they don't want to bring them to market because it's just too expensive, even though they work.
Well, why spend all that money developing them if you're not going to bring them to market?
Well, because you never know. So if somebody else comes out with a similar drug and that seems to make it through the market process well, then you can bring yours out at a much cheaper cost because somebody else has already taken the hit.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you can't stop your research and development. And remember, a lot of drugs are discovered after other drugs are developed, and they see some benefits from this aspect of that. And so then they further refine that medication into something else and see what it does. And the research that goes into it, which is a big cost of it, and the marketing and all that, they just put on hold, even though they can say in phase 1 that, yeah, this works. You know, we tried it on rats and they all got bigger tails, and that's what we wanted. So you see that, you can see how it works. It's a multi-step process.
And an expensive one.
And an expensive one, especially if you're developing something that is going to be a very small market share, like anti-cancer drugs or these drugs for rare diseases like Huntington's chorea, where most doctors never see Huntington's chorea because it's such a rare disease. I had the opportunity working in a medical psychiatric facility to see several Huntington's chorea patients. It's fascinating to see. That's what Woody and Arlo Guthrie have or had. I don't know if is Arlo still alive. I don't know.
I don't think so. No, love his music though.
Yeah.
What about this new drug? I was reading just yesterday, as a matter of fact, about the new drug for obesity. Apparently, it's a Danish pharmaceutical company who created this thing, and it's so popular right now that they have to expand. They're expanding all around the world just for the demand of this one drug. Is this something that people should be looking for and asking you about? I'm not sure what the company was, but it was a Denmark company. They were talking, I read an article yesterday. They have come up with some obese medicine that just people are just going crazy for, apparently, all around the world. And their biggest problem is they just don't have enough capacity to make enough of it right now. So they're expanding. Is this something that we should be looking for? And is it working? I guess it is, because people keep demanding it. So
is it one of the newer glutides?
Could have been. I think it's a brand new drug. Yeah.
There's Zepbound, which is tirzepatide injection. So these are similar to Ozempic and Mounjaro, but they may have some more specific effects on appetite. So I don't know. That's from Lilly. So I'm not sure which one you're talking about.
Yeah, I should have sent you the article. I didn't do it last night. If I see it again, I'll send it over to you.
Yeah, I see things like Wegovy and Ozempic and all that, but they're all in that same family of the TIDEs, tides. So we'll have to look at that, and you can send me that info, and I'll take a look at that, and we'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it next week because it's interesting.
That?
Yeah, good. It's a plan.
So did you see where Hannah Gutierrez Reed? She got sentenced to jail 18 months for involuntary manslaughter. Remember the Alec Baldwin movie?
Yes, right.
That
was she the pro, the gun pro?
She was the loader. Why would she put live bullets in there unless she didn't like the person? And ultimately, of course, it was Alec Baldwin's movie, so he's the captain of the ship, so he's probably going to get something. I don't know. Maybe they'll just throw her on the sword, and that'll be the end of it. I mean, he's pleaded not guilty, and I think he's supposed to go to trial soon too.
I can't see how he could be held responsible for that unless you load it yourself,
Well, he's captain of the ship, and he pulled the trigger.
Well, yeah, but you've hired somebody to make sure that nothing goes wrong.
Yeah, but if it's a gun and you're pointing it at somebody, you better take a look. I mean, how hard is it to look down to open the magazine and take a look, or if it's a revolver, to just tip it up and look down the cylinder and see if there's a shell in there. Or if
I never would have thought of doing that. Never. You're an actor. You're making a movie. This is not real. People have been hired to make sure that this is safe. You pull the trigger.
Yeah, but ultimately, you're the captain of the ship. Are you going to say Joe's not responsible for all the chaos in the world?
Oh, following, well, yeah, I guess after the fact. But in the moment, he doesn't know, and he wasn't going to check. I wouldn't have checked either.
No, he doesn't know. And did you see he was at some memorial place for veterans in Pennsylvania last week, and he referenced his uncle who was shot down in the Pacific, was flying a single-engine airplane, and I guess it was over New Guinea or Borneo or somewhere, and he kind of inferred that he got eaten by cannibals.
Okay.
He said he apparently crashed in an area with cannibals, that headhunting cannibals. So, and they never saw him again. So
it was cannibals.
The cannibals.
It had to be the cannibals. There's no other explanation.
No other explanation. And I think he actually crashed into the water, but
probably, yeah.
Maybe he swam ashore and saw the cannibals waving to him, and he thought they were friendly, and they were saying, "Come on, we're hungry. Hurry up, get over here."
I'm sure there's a lot of wrecks in the jungles of Borneo and places like that have never been discovered.
Oh yeah, and you could go down there and pick some of those things apart and probably build yourself a really nice little hut.
Yeah.
Remember that movie, Crocodile Dundee?
I love that movie, Crocodile Dundee.
You remember the second one where they were actually in the outback in Australia, and he called in a couple of his Aborigine friends, native Australians. We can't say Aborigine anymore, which just means the original. That's all it means, is the original, from the original. So at any rate, that's not kosher anymore. So he called in these guys, and they're guarding these people that had been taken hostage had been captured by crocodile, and they're tied up. And the one guy turns and he looks at the hostages, and he says in the Aboriginal language, he says, "Can I eat these guys?" And the other guy looks at him and says, in English, says, "No, mate, you can't eat them. We're only supposed to watch them and keep track of." And all the guys are like, "Oh my God." And then he winks at what's her name, the girlfriend that actually married Dundee for a while and then divorced her. But I thought that was funny that I don't think the Aborigines were ever cannibals.
I don't know, but
I don't think so. I think they pushed some of their weirder ones out, and they went over to New Zealand, and then out into Pacifica. And that's when they started picking up on the cannibalism, is when they got out in the Pacifica, because I guess there wasn't a whole lot to eat out there.
You ever been out there? You ever take a trip down to New Zealand or places like that?
Not yet, but I want to go see Australia and New Zealand. That would be fascinating.
New Zealand, I don't think there's a whole lot to look at in Australia overall.
Well, I love the desert.
Well, then Australia is a place you want to go. Yeah.
I mean, the desert's like going to the beach for me. I can sit and look out into the vast, flat emptiness of it, and I can actually start to see things. Probably hallucinations, but anyway.
A lot of gold in them hills, by the way, out there in Australia.
And opal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You can get rich if you get the right piece of land.
Yep. You get the right piece of land, and
but watch out for the scorpions.
Are there scorpions there?
Big ones, yeah.
So did you hear about this guy who set himself on fire outside of Trump's Manhattan?
I did. I'm not quite sure what that accomplished, but,
Well, he got in the news.
He did.
He dead, though.
Yes, he is. I guess he had a manifesto that I got to get myself a manifesto.
Yeah, we need a manifesto. Let's get a manifesto for the show, and then we can commit suicide right on the show.
I'll be happy to engineer that.
At least for one member of the staff.
Well, yeah, exactly. I can't. I don't think I'll be joining you, but if you want to, Doc, I'm sorry to see that. I'd miss you.
So he had no prior history, and Trump is with Biden, and they're about to fascist coup us. I guess that's what he held up. So I guess he thought Trump and Biden were both bad.
Oh, okay. Well, then what did he do it for?
I guess he wanted to be the number one, but he figured this is the best thing he could do.
All right. Well, sorry to see that. Obviously,
Yeah,
some
it's
problems
too bad.
there.
I mean,
Some problems there. Yeah.
Yeah, psychiatric problems, and one more argument to lock him up, baby.
Yeah, well, not necessarily in a jail, but somewhere.
Yeah, put him in psychiatric facilities.
Yes, exactly.
I hear all these Canadians that come in and they're like, "Well, you all need to solve your homeless problem and build more homes down here for them." And I'm, what are you talking about? Lock them all up.
That's right.
Is that not nice?
Well, it's, for half the American population, I think, probably not these days. We're pretty much split right down the middle these days, aren't we?
Yeah, and I think that we're getting, well, I can't say that because you don't like it when I say it.
Say what?
We're getting closer to civil war.
Oh, we are. Well, I don't mind you saying that. I don't mind you saying that either. I just think it's going to be a different kind of civil war than you think it's going to be.
Well, you think the zombies will take on the?
No, I think it's going to be a class civil war. It's going to be rich against the poor. That's what it's going to be. It's not going to be Democrat against Republican.
Well,
it's
does that mean you and I are going to fight each other because you identify as poor and I identify as rich?
But Republicans are poor. Poor Republicans are poor Democrats, or rich Democrats or rich Republicans. It's going to be poor against the rich, and it probably won't happen for another 100 years, but it's going to happen at some point.
So you're back to the Communist Manifesto.
I guess so.
And do you feel that anything is okay to get to that end, to get
No,
to?
no, 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 no.
So you have some morals and values about this.
Oh, sure. You
Okay.
can't steal anybody. You can't steal their money. You can't kill them. They can't do anything like that.
What if they made their money off of the hard labor of other people?
Did they pay those people? If they paid those people, then they were hired to do a job and they did it.
What if they didn't pay them a living wage?
Well, they should have struck. You see, the people have tools that they don't use anymore if they want to use them.
Well, the United Auto Workers is using those tools, and they just won a contract in a VW plant in Tennessee.
Yeah, they're effective when used well, but they can also be abused, which is what happened to the North in the 80s. They went crazy. Okay? Guys are making $50 to stand around. And the manufacturers just said, okay, that's it. We're just going to go to some states where we don't have to deal with this. And they came south. And it decimated the North. It really did.
It did, especially New York. 80% of all industrial jobs in 1980, when looked at, were lost in New York State.
I believe it. Yeah.
80%.
Yeah.
So
and I'm sure Illinois was right behind them because they lost a whole bunch.
Oh, yeah.
So.
And so people marched south, or companies took their business to China to have parts manufactured.
Or Mexico, even. They went to Mexico first.
Yeah. Well, and the Mexicans get their basic supplies from China. So, I mean, basically, we're all feeding off of China.
Yeah. So, I'm thinking that it's going to be a class war. If there's going to be a revolution of some sort, it's going to be a civil war. There's going to be some sort of class aspect to it.
Well, somebody who is adept at manipulating people will decide which side's going to win, and it won't matter if they're proletariats or bourgeoisie. They'll manipulate the situation so they're ahead, and then it'll all start over again.
Exactly.
It's just like in Russia and in China. There's a small group of people at the very top who are making big money. Now, China's shifted a little bit in that they allow a certain level of free enterprise. I don't know if Russia's doing that or not. But the old style communism, there's like 0.0001% of the population that owns basically everything, and then everybody works for the state, and you get everything from the state, which is what the Communist Manifesto says. It says the state should own everything. The state should be in control of everything. There should be one central banking system. There should be one central educational system, so the government can control what the kids learn and don't learn. And there should be daycares that the kids have to go to because the parents have got to go to work. And we will indoctrinate the little SOBs. And you know what? That's what they're doing.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, we have adopted most of the Communist Manifesto, except for you can still have some private ownership.
Well, I haven't gone all the way over yet, but I just think there's going to be at some point, way down the line, not in our lifetime.
You never know. Things can happen in a hurry. And remember in 1775, when the Continental Congress was debating, nobody thought when they came for in 1776 for the big debate, nobody thought that we were going to leave England. And by the time they left the Independence Hall in Philadelphia, the Declaration of Independence had been written and signed, and it was distributed pretty soon after.
I don't think we'll see class warfare until there is no more middle class. And right now, there's still a pretty strong middle class.
Yep. I guess you're right. I think that we might see an erosion of that, but so far we haven't really. I mean, people are continuing to make money and move up, although
employment is good. I mean, some people are complaining about wages, but they always do.
Well, not only that, as the inflation is eating into your real wage growth.
Doc, we got about 45, 50 seconds left. What would you like to talk about? Want to talk about the business a little bit?
Yeah, let's talk about the business. Ken, we have ultrasound and echocardiograms. We can do vascular studies. We can look at your gallbladder and see if it's abnormal or thickened, or your liver, your kidneys, your pancreas, your your spleen, so we can see all the big solid organs in the belly. And we can also take a look at your heart and the arteries in your neck and the arteries and veins in your arms and
It's all at
legs.
the office, so bye-bye,
And
Doc. We're on.
Bye.
WGUL and W229DJ Dunedin. Powered by Prosperity Group. See them online today at mymoneyissafe.com.
Experience the best selection of cigars and accessories in the country. Corona Cigar is located at 4142 West Boy Scout Boulevard across from International Plaza, or visit coronacigar.com.